हेलो चिल्ड्रन, वेलकम टू ASA एजुकेशन। आज हम कर रहे हैं हाई स्कूल ग्रामर बुक रेन एंड मार्टिन की जो है उसकी एक्सरसाइज 20। ये जो एक्सरसाइज है इसमें आपको इंटरचेंज करना है डिग्री ऑफ कंपैरिजन को। क्वेश्चन है चेंज द डिग्री ऑफ कंपैरिजन विदाउट चेंजिंग द मीनिंग। बिना मीनिंग को चेंज किए आपको डिग्री ऑफ कंपैरिजन को चेंज करना है। पहला है मलक्का इज द ओल्डेस्ट टाउन इन मलेशिया। तो हम इसको किस तरह से लिख सकते हैं? नो अदर टाउन इन मलेशिया इज सो ओल्ड एज मलक्का। ये हो गया आपका इन जनरल पॉजिटिव में। अब यही इसको कंपैरेटिव में करें तो हो सकता है मलक्का इज ओल्डर देन एनी अदर टाउन इन मलेशिया। ये हो गया आपका कंपैरेटिव। नेक्स्ट दिया हुआ है सोयाबीन्स आर एटलीस्ट एज न्यूट्रिशियस एज मीट। तो हम इसको पॉजिटिव में लिख सकते हैं मीट इज नॉट मोर न्यूट्रिशियस देन सोयाबीन्स। और वही इसको अगर हम कंपैरेटिव में लिखते हैं तो होगा सोयाबीन्स आर नॉट लेस न्यूट्रिशियस देन मीट। ये हो गया आपका कंपैरेटिव। थर्ड है नो अदर प्लैनेट इज सो बिग एज जुपिटर। तो इसका कंपैरेटिव में आएगा जुपिटर इज बिगर देन एनी अदर प्लैनेट। ये हो गया कंपैरेटिव। और अगर हम इसको लिखें जुपिटर इज द बिगेस्ट प्लैनेट, ये हो गया सुपरलेटिव, हाईएस्ट डिग्री ऑफ कंपैरिजन। Very few boys are as industrious as Latif. Comparative, Latif is more industrious than most other boys. Comparative. और दूसरे उसमें सकते हैं Latif is one of the most industrious boys. Superlative. He would sooner die rather than tell a lie. इसका आंसर क्या हो सकता है? He would not as soon tell a lie as die. This is positive. India is the largest democracy in the world. India is larger than any other democracy in the world. ये हो गया आपका कंपैरेटिव। और सुपरलेटिव में क्या हो जाएगा? सुपरलेटिव करें या इसको पॉजिटिव अगर उसमें देखें तो no other democracy in the world is so large as India. Positive, क्योंकि इसमें सुपरलेटिव यानी हाईएस्ट डिग्री में तो दिया ही हुआ है। शेक्सपियर is greater than any other English poet. No other English poet is so great as Shakespeare. ये हो गया आपका पॉजिटिव। और इसको कहा जाए अगर सुपरलेटिव में, क्योंकि कंपैरेटिव दिया हुआ है इसलिए सुपरलेटिव हुआ शेक्सपियर इज द ग्रेटेस्ट ऑफ इंग्लिश पोएट्स। सुपरलेटिव। समुद्रगुप्त was one of the greatest of Indian kings. Again it is given in superlative. तो इसका आंसर क्या होगा? Very few Indian kings were so great as समुद्रगुप्त। पॉजिटिव। और इसका कंपैरेटिव होगा Samudragupta was greater than most other Indian kings. Will be comparative. The tiger is most ferocious of all animals. No other animal is so ferocious as tiger. Positive. The tiger is more ferocious than any other animal. Comparative. Australia is the largest island in the world. No other island in the world is so large as Australia. Positive. Australia is larger than any other island in the world. Comparative. Lead is heavier than any other metal. No other metal is so heavy as lead. Positive. Lead is the heaviest of all metals. Superlative. Some people have more money than brains. Some people do not have as much brains as money. Positive. A wise enemy is better than a foolish friend. A foolish friend is not so good as a wise enemy. Positive. The Marwaris are not less enterprising than any other community in India. The Marwaris are at least as enterprising as any other community in India. I know him quite as well as you do. I do not know him as well as you do. Positive. You do not know him better than I do. You do not know him better than I do. Comparative. No other man was as strong as Bhim. Bhim was stronger than any other man. Comparative. Bhim was the strongest of all men. Superlative. Some boys are at least as industrious as Suresh. Suresh is not more industrious than some other boys. Comparative. Suresh is not the most industrious boy. Superlative. Mount Everest is the highest peak of the Himalayas. No other peak of the Himalayas is so high as Mount Everest. Positive. Mount Everest is higher than any other peak of the Himalaya. Comparative. Very few animals are as useful as the cow. The cow is one of the most useful animals. Superlative. Cow is more useful than most other animals. Comparative. America is the richest country in the world. No other country in the world is so rich as America. Positive. America is richer than any other country in the world. Comparative. It is easier to preach than to practice. It is not so easy to practice as to preach. Positive. No, iron is more useful than all other metals. No other metal is so useful as iron. Positive. Iron is the most useful of all metals. Superlative. Open rebuke is better than secret love. Secret love is not so good as open rebuke. Positive. The Sears Tower is the tallest building in the world. The Sears Tower is taller than any other building in the world. Comparative. No other building in the world is so tall as Sears Towers. Comparative. Sir Surendranath was at least as great orator as any other Indian. No other Indian was a greater orator than Sir Surendranath. Positive. Sir Surendranath was one of the greatest Indian orators. Superlative. Ooty is as healthy as any resort in India. No other resort in India is healthier than Ooty. Comparative. Ooty is one of the healthiest resorts in India. Superlative. The pen is mightier than sword. The sword is not so mighty as the pen. positive. This was the exercise. Let's meet in exercise 21.